This is all about restoring confidence in the South African financial markets. So that's why these sweeping changes are being proposed by the JSE to look at how South Africa or how the JSE can deal with the issue of improving corporate governance and also transparency. And some of the proposals that they've mooted is it's to look at the diversity on the boards of many of these listed companies in terms of gender, but also in terms of race, and to see that these boards are becoming more representative of the South African society. And they also look at how, in terms of primary listing, what kind of recommendations can be done in that regard, but also secondary listing, especially when it comes to foreign jurisdictions, where companies have their primary listing outside of South Africa. And in the past, what used to happen is that the JSE told companies that it's okay that the JSE will go in accordance to where the primary listing is, which is overseas, and that these companies don't necessarily have to adhere to the South African regulations. That the JSE is saying that will have to change, because they need to pay much more attention to some of these foreign exchanges to make sure that they are on par with the South African standards.
John, is it just about geography and gender, or is it also including governance, given that it was my understanding we had among the best governance principles in the world, particularly after the two King Codes?
Well, governance is a major motivation as to why they are doing that. So it's about governance, it's about transparency. It's also, that's why even the issue of short listing sellings, there will be a much closer introspection as to what kind of short selling is happening, because short selling, as you know, by itself, there's nothing wrong with it. The issue is really when investors deliberately press down the price of certain stocks, and that's illegal. So what the JSE has done now is that there will be a quarterly publication as well as a monthly publication through the FSCA, which will give an indication as to some of the investigations that are going on, not necessarily about the companies itself, but in terms of stocks that are being traded, if they have been alerted to any kinds of potential wrongdoing. So it's really about making it a whole lot more to make listings and the financial markets a whole lot more transparent, but also to ensure that there's proper governance. And this, of course, has all to do mainly with the issue about what happened with Steinhoff.
John Bailey, are these proposals simply procedural in nature, or are they likely to meet any resistance?
Well, what will happen now is, and that's what the JSE said as well, is that they expect that companies will come back with proposals, because it's open to listed companies as well as to the public to comment until the mid-October. So in just over a month's time. So what they are saying is that if they find that after these recommendations there are serious concerns, changes that needs to happen, they will then go about and they will change the law to make sure that there is a much better and a deeper understanding about listing, but also introspection about how listing is being done. So from the JSE's perspective, it's certainly not just about lip service. They say that it's all about, because it has an impact on the economy, and it's about returning or ensuring that there's confidence from investors in the South African economy, and to make sure that the JSE remain on that the JSE has the international stature that it has, because of the way that it's dealing with listed companies.